Hello and welcome back to our Retire Early lifestyle. Most top 10 lists are leading you straight into expat traps. All we have to do is watch the mini expats coming back home from paradise, right? And folks, even moving to these countries we're going to tell you about that almost pass our Retire Early test means nothing, because all of the countries people are leaving right now were just as nice before they started getting destroyed by tourism. Today we're revealing two better countries that actually almost passed the test for 2026. Let's begin. Country number 1 is Santiago Chile. If you're tired of the expat bubbles where expats seem to be hiking up prices and where sentiment is crumbling, you need to look at Santiago, specifically the Providencia district. Moving to Chile, you won't have to worry about owning a car and all the expense that goes with it. That's something good. Santiago has an efficient metro system and it's a walkable city. So be ready to do a lot of walking because that's the best way to not miss out on anything. But the real easy peasy here is the residency. Chile's independent means visa is straightforward. All an individual needs to do is show a stable income of around $1,000 to $1,500 a month from a pension or investments, and the Chilean government hands you the keys to your new country. The residency visa is quite easy, and to get it takes often over a year though to go through the visa process, so be ready for the mañana visa that never seems to want to arrive, but finally does. Additional requirements for the independent means visa in Chile is proof of income, background check, health insurance, and your passport. It has to be a valid passport. Why do we say almost passes the test? Well, right now Chile has medium expat traffic. Prices have gone up in the cities, and you're probably looking at around $1,500 to $2,000 cost of living budget for a comfortable lifestyle, eating out and living in a good neighborhood like Providencia. So this is just a heads up. If you move here and the place starts to get more vloggers and the Retire Abroad media starts talking about it, you can throw more affordable out the window in about 6 months. That's the reality, folks, and we just want you to be ready for that. This is why we like to show alternative areas to live right here in the States, such as Tennessee, Arkansas, and Alabama, which are all lovely areas to live at a lower cost. But you can go live off the beaten path in Chile for much lower than that, but that depends on many variables. It's something we wouldn't do in South America.
I'm not trying to be a dream crusher. I'm just telling you what it's like, what it really is like, what I know, and I'm just telling it to you. When it comes to living out in the country, there's living out in the country on the coast and there's living out in the country in the mountains. The Ecuadorians have their own ways that they respond to this question. When it comes to living out in a small town, say away from the beachfront, but it could also be beachfront in a small town, generally speaking, they will tell you it's safe. Out in the country, not so much, not as safe out in the country. We're talking about the coast. Also, when I talk to Ecuadorians, say like in Cuenca, they'll say that, like for example, in small towns like Yunguilla or Gualaceo or whatever, they'll say it's safe. I've also talked to other Ecuadorians about other small towns outside of those areas, and they'll always say it's safe, and I always let them tell me that. And then when that conversation comes to a halt, and then I will always say, well, it's safe for you that you're Ecuadorian, but what about for a foreigner? And they always tell me, this is their response, you have to be careful no matter what. You have to watch yourself, you have to be careful no matter what. The foreigners become targets. On the coast, foreigners become targets on the beachfront in small towns. Away from the beachfront, on the coast, it's outright dangerous.
Living out in the country is not as safe as you've been told by the peddlers. Here's the other reason we say Chile almost passes the Retire Early test, which actually kind of means that it fails. Chile gets a grade D for safety from us. Santiago is a big city and it is in South America after all. We would say that Chile is on par with Panama, Colombia, and even Mexico as far as crime goes. As much as everyone wants you to think that these countries are safe and sound, remember, they're not. You actually have to do things to stay safe in Latin America. Here is what I noticed about Providencia neighborhood. The clue that it is somewhat of a safer area is when you see fewer bars on the windows, no armed guards protecting businesses, and many people out and about walking around. But there is no telling how much that will change when a bunch of expats start moving in.
I've been predicting also an increase in crime just because of the dynamics of wealthy foreigners arriving into a small area. There was a notable home invasion and murder out in Unguilla, and I'm afraid things like that are just going to increase because I see the foreigners engaging in this kind of dynamic, the Americans mostly, just the overpayment and the property and property prices escalating, and just the show of wealth in an area where people are very meek and humble.
Providencia is known for being safe and pleasant residential area in Santiago Chile, where many buildings typically do not have bars on the windows. And the streets are really nice, they're tree lined, there's lots of restaurants and things to do. But after dark, you will still want to be safe and sound in your home, just to be on the safe side. Chile used to be one of the safest countries in South America, but that is no longer true, unfortunately. Santiago Chile now has heavy crime, just like they used to tell you about the great neighborhood of El Poblado neighborhood in Medellin, Colombia. It's not safe anymore either. You may become a target of a crime if you move here, and so you still need to keep your head and feet on a swivel, as some of our longtime viewers would say. You're not in Kansas any longer. Bottom line, Chile is a better alternative to the overrated, overpriced, overcrowded, crime-ridden, over-touristic countries that are going downhill fast in a handbasket. But how long that will last is anyone's guess. Chile is the silver standard for an alternative country that almost passes at the moment. Moving on to country number 2, the new frontier. Well, where is the new frontier? Well, we're talking about El Salvador. And before you click away based on headlines from 5 years ago, you need to see the data. You've heard of the Bukele effect, right? El Salvador has gone from a no-go zone to one of the safest spots in Latin America for American expats. Imagine that. If you want to live in a country that has become safer than all the other countries in Latin America, well, here it is. So the bottom line is, even though El Salvador's residency is easy peasy and the country has low crime, and it's not in the EU, and it's not on the Rams top 10 best list, but the city might not be as cheap as we were led to believe. If you're moving to San Salvador where everyone else wants to go, property prices are now on par with the US, and prices for everything else has shot up to the moon too. Coastal properties are out of this world. So just to put things into perspective, Cuenca, Ecuador, a country that was named best place to live 5 times in a row by the Rams, the Retire Abroad media, Cuenca is about 30% less expensive than El Salvador as far as cost of living goes. El Salvador has only been on the move abroad circuit for about 3 years at the most, so many people have gone to El Salvador to buy and invest in property, and well, this is what happens. And you can forget about cheap rents unless you're way out in the boonies, which is not very convenient for most people, and as we have already stated, is not a safe alternative for expats. This is why it almost passes the retire early test. As we all know, there is no paradise on earth. So let's talk about the easy peasy residency of El Salvador. If you have a perpetual source of income of $1,500 in passive income, you qualify for the rentista visa, and that income includes dependents such as a spouse or children. The proof of at least $1,500 in monthly passive income from dividends, rental income, royalties, trust distributions. The perk with the residency visa of El Salvador is the easy button. It's a residency process that doesn't involve the visa runs or headaches of Thailand, at least not at the moment. Did we tell you that these countries change their policies and rules in a twinkle of an eye? So which of these countries passed your test? Tell us in the comments. Are you a Santiago urbanite or an El Salvador pioneer? Maybe you're not interested in either one of these two countries, and maybe you are even rethinking the whole move abroad thing. Is the expat dream dead? No, there are always going to be places to go and check out. At least that's what we're being told. However, if the bad news bears get their way, that may not necessarily be true. Things are changing just about everywhere, and the holdouts have a bullseye on them. Different video for a different day. But when you know that 75 to 80% of expats actually come home, you have to wonder why. Well, the wondering is gone, folks. There is no wonder, as returnees themselves report. It's not what I thought, which actually translates to, it's not what I was sold. So with that, thanks for watching our videos, everyone. Take care and bye-bye.